Greetings, everyone. Depending upon where you are on the globe, we wish you a Boker Tov, Tzoraim Tovim, or an Erev Tov. We're pleased to have you here at the complimentary session being offered by Prizmah and Hebrew at the Center on finding Hebrew teachers in this particularly challenging time. I'm Rabbi Andrew Ergis. I'm the CEO of Ivrit B'Merkaz, Hebrew at the Center. I'm pleased to be here with our partners from the WZO, from Edge Together, and from Talented Ed. We're pleased to have so many individuals from around North America joining us today. And just to give everybody a sense of who else is here, we'd love for you to briefly introduce yourself, your role, your school, and where you're located. I'll just spotlight you, and then you'll know it's your turn. And then we'll have our presenters introduce themselves as well. We do want to acknowledge that it's always challenging to be a school leader. It's been particularly challenging over the last 24 months, as all of us have had to deal with things that we probably never thought we would become experts in. Very few people go from studying epidemiology to becoming a leader in the Jewish educational space. And yet we've all had to learn how to run tests, to figure out how to use our spaces in new environments, et cetera. And we know that this has been challenging for all of you and for all of your colleagues in the school. We also have a sense from the field that this has been particularly challenging in terms of finding effective, appropriate Hebrew instructors. That's always been a challenge, but suddenly when this became the opportunity for so many of those in the teaching field, in particular Israeli Americans who make up a large percentage, who found this as the opportunity to move elsewhere or to return back to Israel. When individuals moved out of major metropolitan areas, and are working remote, and the remote learning may not be working for them or for your schools, all of you have been impacted in some additional ways. And we're aware of this and have had the opportunity to gather with Prizmah to be looking at some of the structural issues to think about what we can be doing for the fall of 23 or the fall of 24. But in the short term, we hope that today's presentations will provide you with some opportunities to consider for the fall of 22 as we bring this academic year at least towards Purim and Pesach, and then the closing, and then begin to gear up for August and September, depending upon where you are in North America. So that's what brings us all together. We'd love to know who's around the Zoom. When you see that you've been spotlighted for everyone, introduce yourself, your role, your school, and where you're located.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Kaplan. I'm the 7th and 8th grade principal at Schechter Day School in the Chicago area.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Mishkin. I am the K through 6 principal at Sager Solomon Schechter in Northbrook. I work with Nancy.
Hi, I'm Melanie Eisen. I'm the Director of Teaching and Learning in the middle and upper schools at the Berman Hebrew Academy in Rockville. And they did face painting in the preschool today.
Chag Purim Sameach to everyone.
Hi, my name is Tamara Donenfeld. I'm the Director of Lifelong Learning at Temple Beth Am in Miami, Florida, in charge of supplemental school from K through 12.
Hello, Hadassah. I'm from the Fell School in Westchester.
Hadassah, always a pleasure to see you. One of the teachers of one of my own children many, many years ago. Be on the lookout for when you are, when the highlight comes your way.
It was highlighted in my way.
Oh, interesting.
Sorry.
Shalom, I'm Dr. Ilanit Huri. I'm a DeLaFell Lower School Principal with Hadassah, my colleague. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom. And Ilanita, always a pleasure to see you as well.
Nice to see you too.
Hi, I'm Allison Oakes. I'm the head of School of Hillel Academy in Tampa. We have a bilingual early learning center, 1-year-old through pre-K, and then a kindergarten through 8th grade.
Hi, I'm Alana Shapiro from Denver Jewish Day School in Denver, Colorado. I am the lower division principal. We're a K-12 community school, and I oversee K-5.
Tamara?
I thought that I introduced myself, didn't I? I did.
Okay. Abby, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Abby Ashkenazi. I'm in the car, so I kind of, I was off video. I work for JCC Chicago. I direct all of our Hebrew programming, which is our Hebrew Immersion Day Camp and our Seder Hebrew program for adults.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Esty Gross, and I'm the Director of Education for Bishvila Ivrit, CET, the Center for Educational Technology, and I'm in Los Angeles. Shalom.
Shalom, I'm Liat Kadosh. I'm the Director of Embedded Expertise within Hebrew at the Center. I recognize some of you. Hi, Shalom.
Hi, everybody. Rachel Drash at Prizmah, Director of Educational Innovation. Such an honor to be with you today and to support your work.
Thank you, Rachel. And I just want to make certain, did I get everyone other than our presenters, or is there someone else who I didn't catch? Oh, Dorit, we're coming to you.
Shalom, I'm Dorit Zmiri, Director of Jewish Studies in Hebrew at the Boston Jewish Community Day School, or is it known JCDS in Boston? And when we have crazy hair days, so I'm sorry about the appearance.
We love Crazy Hair Day, and I think for those of us who are not in the schools in the way that so many of you are, we are missing out on some of the challenges, but we also know we are missing out on some of the things that make working in a Jewish day school so special, like Crazy Hair Day. So with that, we'd love to begin our presentations. As I mentioned, we're going to hear first from Ilan from Morim Shlichim in the WZO. We'll then hear from Alana at Talent Ed, then Aryeh from Edge Together. I'll close out with information about our boot camp, and then we'll create an opportunity after each one of our presenters for you to ask questions as well. So with that, let's turn it over to Ilan.
Hello, everyone, and I'm sharing a presentation with you. Here we go. Hello, Ilan Friedman from the World Zionist Organization, Machlaka Lechinuch, Education Department, and we deal with the Morim Shlichim. We have, as you can see here in the picture, 130 approximately Morim Shlichim spread out all over North America. They're spread out in all types of schools, day schools and afternoon programs. Most of them are in day schools, teaching Hebrew, Judaic studies. I'd say about 60% are on the Hebrew, another about 30% on the Judaic studies, and 10% of the interesting situations where someone has asked me for a music teacher who will teach Hebrew music, or someone asked me for a sports teacher who is Boger Tzava and knows Krav Maga, or someone who's asked me for a maths teacher who does high tech in Israel or something like that. But in general, most of them are the classic Hebrew or Judaic studies teachers. And they come with an additional thing that they are bringing Israel with them into the classroom. Certainly if they're Hebrew teachers, then they speak Ivrit be'Ivrit. And if they are teaching anything else, they come with the background of living in Israel, telling the story. Every day that they're there, they're telling a live story of what's going on in Israel, which is a big addition. And they always come with a mission-focused minded, that they want to make a change, they want to make a difference, they're coming to make an impact on the school. So we often find that these are the teachers who are taking responsibilities in addition to the classroom to many other things that are happening in the general school lifetime. So who are they? They are professional teachers. They must be certified by Misrad HaChinuch, by the Ministry of Education in Israel. They have to be experienced. We take them on a minimum of 2 years of experience. Some schools tell me they want them the lowest level of experience, only 2 years, and some schools tell me they want them at 20 years of experience. It depends on what you're looking for. We have candidates who are from all kinds. As I said, they want to make an impact, they want to inspire, and they have the added value of the Hebrew and the Jewish values. We do a 3-stage process of screening them. The screening includes a day with a psychologist, where we analyze who the personality is and why they're interested in going on shlichut, what they want to do on shlichut. We have another day of group dynamics and teaching, where they present many things and they're being watched and they have to present to their peers and they have to come up with creative ideas and things like that. And we have a personal interview trying to get to know them, their motivations and their experience, and see who they are. If they pass that 3-stage process, then we forward them to the next stage, which is meeting with heads of schools and making the match. So that's what we're trying to do on our side. We're making the match after we screen. Making the match, we find, is the most important part of it, because every school has different needs and every school has different personalities of people and ways of thinking. If we manage to bring them the right person, we have success on our shlichut. If we don't manage to bring the right person, then it doesn't work out. So we really work hard on that part. We'll do some training before they go on shlichut. There's a 5-day seminar that they go through in Israel that's split up between helping them to get adjusted to go away abroad, change their way of living, and also, and more focus is on preparing them for a classroom in America. The difference is how it works, what we can do to help them during the time that they're on shlichut, and that's the guiding and the support and motivation during the shlichut. It's myself, and there's another few people on my staff from Israel that we are guiding and supporting them and helping them, trying to bridge the gap of the differences and then bring themselves in the best way. Another thing that we are for them is a community of shlichim. Once they have today it's a WhatsApp group and also shared drives of information that they share. 130 people from this area, another 100 approximately in the rest of the world, sharing loads of information. You can imagine that every day we're getting loads and loads of ideas and programs and thoughts, and they really help each other build the best thing that they can. We send them educational materials that we prepare. We have a department who prepares educational materials, so it's for the classroom or for the school. So that's what we're doing for them. In addition, we do something that might be the most important for some of you. We sponsor the visa. The J1 visa, we are legal sponsors of a J1 of replacement of teachers. So we can give them a 3-year visa. It can be extended for a 4th year in certain situations, but it's standard as a 3-year visa. So all you have to do is fill in the applications with us, but we deal with the visa for you. And then we also give them a status recognition in Israel as teachers. They leave Israel, but they're considered as if they are teaching in Israel as far as the Ministry of Education is considered. And in their pension, they will get recognized for the years that they were on shlichut as if they were teaching in Israel. What's our process? So there's the application form where you define the needs. The blue is what you do, the green is what I do. You define the needs. What is our school looking for? Is it a Hebrew teacher or a maths teacher or a Jewish studies teacher? Who are you looking for? How many teachers are you looking for? That's your part. Then we will send you a few things for the candidate. Well, the resume is probably the obvious one. We made another 2 videos of every candidate. One is a personal introduction where they present themselves and their family on video. I find that's the most useful tool to actually get to know them. Within a minute, you know who you're dealing with. And we have a professional video. We're filming them in class for 10 minutes, teaching their classroom. So basically, before you even get to interview them, you already know their resume. You've seen 2 videos of them. You know approximately who you're dealing with and if you're interested in interviewing them. If you want to interview them, of course. If you choose not to, then it's your choice. You can choose the candidates. We will forward to you those that we think are suitable from what you've told us. But anyone else who's in our system who's a candidate, you can see in the system and choose to interview them. So it's open to another few tens of candidates that you can choose from. You do the interviews and then you do the contract. We don't get involved in the contract because we don't know the differences in every city. Of course, in Manhattan or Los Angeles or Cleveland or Chicago, the prices are going to be different in every place and the standards of living are different. So you have to define the contract. Then we will take care of the J1 visa, the training and the support on all the logistics of moving them from Israel to your school in time for them to be ready for the classroom. The questions I usually get, if there are more, of course, then you're more than welcome. How long do they stay? So I've mentioned the visa is a 3-year visa. As far as contract, we suggest a 2-year contract and extend it to 3. We suggest not a 1-year contract because within the first few months, it's not ready yet to make a decision on the 2nd year. So let them come planning for it. When can they come? They can be in August. They should be in August around your school area already, ready to teach on the first day of school. Who defines the HR details? You do. We give advice, we help you, but you define how much you're paying them. You're hiring them, not us. I think that's the basics. And if you have any more questions, I'm happy to help.
If you, Allison, please ask your question.
Website, where should we go?
We'll send it at the end. Andrew sends a link for everything.
Perfect, thank you.
We'll send everybody's information from all of the presentations to everyone's here at the call. Are there other questions that people have for Ilan?
So,
Yes, Ilanit.
By the way, you can take it here if you want the website.
So in my enough years here, I think that, I taught in Israel also. What's the training is if teaching Hebrew as a 2nd language? It's really not the same as 1st language. Is that on the school or is that anything that you support the teachers?
So as I said, we give them the first initial training on that level and the first 5 days that 2 of them approximately are dealing with that. Is that enough? Obviously not. The school gives them as much training as needed during the year. We're here to help. We're not hiring them or taking responsibility on that level. 2 days of training and support in addition. And I know Andrew is there to give even more support than I am on that.
Tamara.
thank you. What happens when you have a shaliach and it doesn't work? Can you replace that person using the same J1 visa, or you need to actually have another $2,000 and that's what usually ends up costing?
We can't replace the same visa on the same person. No, it's a visa is a personal thing, and the state have to reissue a visa on the new name. So is it going to cost $2,000 or less if it didn't work out? The fees to us, of course, we wouldn't expect if it didn't work out. The fees to the state, they stay.
We'll move, thank you for the questions. We'll move forward to our next presentation, and at the conclusion, if we have additional time, all of the presenters will be here. We'll be happy to take additional questions. So with that, what I'd like to do is hand it over to our partners at Talent Educators and to Alana Kotler.
Hi, everyone. I feel like this is a little bit like a mini reunion. I know so many of you from different parts of Jewish education. It's wonderful to see you all. I'm going to share my screen as well. I work with town educators, and I'm one of the North American directors. And there are actually 4 directors, 3 in North America and 1 in the UK. And we work to support institutions in a variety of ways. And one of those ways is finding excellent educators to come and be at your schools. So our mission and our approach is a layered approach and strategic in terms of how we try to help recruit, find, support, and match educators to your schools. First of all, we're a nonprofit, which means that all of the work we do comes with no cost to the institution or the individual that we're working with. And our goal and our mission is to strengthen Jewish identity outside of Israel. We are a project of the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs and the Jewish Agency for Israel, but we're not a Shluchim program. I just want to make that clear. So we don't bring Israelis to the States. We're looking for talent in the United States, in Canada, and in the UK to come into day schools, to come into shuls, to come into synagogues, to come into JCCs, any place that might have a Jewish educational component to it. And our stretch is we have a wide berth in terms of who we work with. We work with all levels of teaching and education, so from pre-K all the way to ed, and also across the denominational spectrum. So we work with everything from Reform, Reconstructionist to Orthodox in terms of hashkafa. And we really are looking at strengthening Jewish identity through finding excellent educators to teach at all levels of education. So when we're talking about recruitment, we recruit individuals that are in the field. So someone that might actually be teaching right now, and could be a camp educator, it could be a JCC after school educator, or someone that's working at a day school that's looking to make a shift. So we work with recruiting individuals that are already in the field. We work with stretching out really wide, like I said, to outside of the field. So that might be somebody who is currently a lawyer, but went to day school as a child, or was a camp counselor and really loves it and misses that community. We might have Israelis who are living in the States that love teaching or talking Hebrew and want to bring that into a school. So some of them are individuals in the field or outside of the field, and some we call field adjacent. So that might be a parent that's in the community of the school who may have been a stay-at-home parent that really wants to get back in and work maybe with students. Maybe they've never done that before. Maybe they're really passionate about Israel education and want to do that. So we stretch really wide, and we make sure that we can have different touch points of people that might be interested in coming into Jewish education. So once we bring in individuals into our database, and I'll talk a little bit about that, they go through a vetting process. And we work really hard to profile the individuals, both in personality, content background, and also if they have an understanding of pedagogy. Do they have any background in teaching and learning? And so we have 2 interviews that they go through, an initial screening and then an interview more in depth with one of the directors, so myself or one of my colleagues, to really get into who they are, why they want to move into Jewish education, or if they're currently in Jewish education, get a sense of how they approach teaching and learning, how they see collaboration with their colleagues, etc. And then we also give them a content check, which is a baseline for us to see how well their Jewish textual knowledge is, how well can they understand Hebrew, how well can they analyze a text in its original, from the original text. So we look at different areas of their background so that we know that when they're being matched to a school, that we can say with confidence that this is an individual that would be an appropriate match for what you're looking for. And so we also need to know the institutions that we support. We work really hard to go through conversations. We try to have as many site visits as we can so that we know who you're looking for. We make sure that we understand, does the individual need to be fluent in Hebrew? Are you willing to grow the person, or do you really want them to come in with X amount of years of experience? We really make sure that we have a good sense of religiously where your school sits, so that we can make sure that who we send you is an appropriate candidate that would fulfill the needs that you're looking for. And as a former school teacher, educator, and administrator, this actually is one of the things that means the most for someone that I'm working with talent educators, is that once we match you with a candidate, and like that was just shared with the Shalini program, we are not involved in the interviewing process. We're not involved in the hiring process. We will match you. We will send you their resumes. We will work with you and talk to you about the different candidates and our personal opinions. But you will vet them in your own way. If they need to do a model lesson, etc. If you decide to hire someone that we match with you, then we come back to you and say, we're here to mentor and coach that fellow. They then become a fellow for a full year of their first year of teaching. And that is a fully funded support. We will tailor it and personalize it to that individual and to your school. So if you are a school that works very closely with Hebrew at the center, and you want to send them to the boot camp that we're going to learn about, we will be able to fund that boot camp. We will provide them with a mentor and coach from Hebrew at the center. But we work with lots and lots of professional development providers, not just Hebrew at the center. We work with everything from Better Lesson to JNTP to also individual coaches who might have a specific skill set or expertise that you're looking for that this teacher might need. And it might be in pedagogy and it might be in content, but we work with you and with the individual to personalize that professional development. And that is a funded grant that we provide for the school and for that educator. The other piece of that is that educator is also then part of a cohort of similar educators. So they might be new Hebrew teachers who are working together to meet monthly to talk about the challenges they're having or to share lesson plans. So they're also part of a cohort of like-minded people and people who are in the same positions that they are, so they can learn from one another. And those are facilitated by experts in the field as well. So we provide a lot of layers of support in that first year, especially for new teachers who are coming in. We want to make sure they're successful and feel supported. So just a few numbers to throw at you so you have a kind of a sense of where we are right now. So Talent Educators has been around for 2.5 years. We started in 2019, and over the 2.5 years, we have been able to reach 2,400 candidates that come into our database, and we've had 1,000 in the last 2 to 3 months. So we've been really able to grow. But like I said, they go through a pretty heavy vetting process. And so of those 2,400, we could probably say that 300 to 400 of those are candidates that we feel comfortable placing in schools or shuls or JCCs, et cetera. So we make sure that they're vetted and that they are really appropriate for you. We placed 120 educators over the last 2 years, again, across the North America and the UK. And currently we're working with 340 institutions. So that includes day schools, synagogues, JCCs, camps. We work with formal and informal education. And finally, just so I know that you'll get my information, but talenteducators.org is our website. That is my email address. If you go to our site, you will be able to see, I'll just show you this very, very quickly. If you're looking to recruit educators and work with us, you just need to click on this and you'll just be asked some basic questions, and then you'll receive a link to make a meeting with myself or one of the other North American directors. So I'm going to stop my screen share, and if anybody has any questions.
Alana, thank you so much. If questions
Sure.
surface towards the end of the time, we'll certainly be happy to bring you back. We'd now like to switch over to Edu Together and RA Eisenberg.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Hi, everybody. It's so great to see everybody. It's really, it's been quite a year for all of us, I would say, but thank God, Baruch Hashem, we're thriving, we're doing well. And it's, as I said to somebody today in my office, don't worry, only 3 more months till summer vacation. And not that we should be counting the days, but anyway, I want to start off, I said this last time we did one of these, but even though it's Purim coming up, all good things seem to originate from Modi'in when it comes to Jewish education, because Ilan Friedman is my neighbor 2 blocks away, and Aharoni Carmel, who works with Alana, used to be my neighbor in Modi'in. So you know, we're in a good place here in Israel. So you know, it's great to be here and great to see everybody. So Edu Together started, believe it or not, this is our 10th year. We were doing online education before. Online education was the thing that everybody was doing, for better or for worse. And as such, you know, even though a lot of people this year or last year, I should say, kind of went into it because there was no choice, you know, we've really made it our goal to help schools in cases where there are no other options. And I say that very seriously. We know that every school out there, you guys included, would always rather have an in-person educator rather than a live online teacher. We get it, we know it, and we agree with you. However, we also know that it's not always possible for whatever reason. And you know, as such, we want to make sure that all the schools in the United States and really around the world have really what we consider to be the next best option, which is a qualified, personalized program that really meets the needs of your students in your school, and that really becomes a true partnership. And that's really what we try to create for each and every one of our schools. Edu Together is a US accredited school program. So whether we're working with school partners or with private students, you know, we have the accreditation, we have the you know, we have the training in place. And, you know, just to give you a couple of different numbers, we're currently working right now with about 63, 64 Jewish schools. We also work with about 15 non-Jewish schools. And we really, you know, Hebrew is definitely one of the main things that we provide. You know, we are here in Israel, so I think a lot of our requests are still coming for Ivrit and for Limudei Kodesh classes, but we also supply schools with everything from math and science to AP physics and everything else in between. So we're really here to be a one-stop provider for online education. Everything that we do is done live. We work according to your schedule, your academic goals, your student needs, and we really try to work with you as a partner. What we've really found, and what we found throughout COVID, is schools came to us and said, how do you make this online learning thing work? It just isn't working for us. And the way we make it work is because this is what we do. Our teachers are trained as online educators. This is you know, this is what they're living and breathing. You know, it's more than just taking what they would do in a traditional classroom and bringing it onto Zoom. We really use a certain methodology and really invest the time in our staff to make sure that they're bringing you and your students the best that they can. All of our teachers go through continuous professional development programs. So it's not just something we do once or twice. It's something that I can tell you every single Sunday, which is our kind of off day here in Israel, even though it's not. But there are no US classes. Every single Sunday is RPD day, and our teachers are going through different workshops and different courses. So, you know, we really try to do that. Our goal and our kind of philosophy in all this is really to provide a student-centered experience. When online learning kind of came about, you know, back, I don't know how long it's been, 10 years ago, everything that was being done was asynchronous, was self-paced, where students had to really adjust to the programs that were being offered. regardless of how they were being taught or what it looked like. And when I was working in a regular school, which I did for almost 15 years, I had students coming into my office to take these asynchronous online courses. And I kept saying to myself, we're educators. It's our job to figure out how to reach our students and how to make them successful, not the other way around. Yet here are these online programs where the kids were sitting there and we're just trying to, make the best that they, and do the best that they could. So when I started Edu Together, my goal really was to make this a student-centered approach. We help schools in a lot of different ways, certainly being able to offer competent, qualified teachers in Hebrew and in other subjects as well. We help schools a lot with scheduling conflicts. And if anybody runs a school, you've been there, we know, every school has them. A lot of times, especially for something like Hebrew, whereas a great solution for the lower level students, so you might have students coming into your school that are at a much lower level than the rest of the students. And at the same time, you might have Israeli students in your school that are just completely above the Ivrit program that you're currently offering. And we have programs for them. And at the same time, we know what it's like to try to find Hebrew teachers in the United States. And we're here to help with the regular classes as well. So that's really what it's about. All of our schools become our partners, and we work with you the same way you would work with the teacher if he or she was in the building. Our teachers generally get school email addresses. They become part of your learning management systems, your LMS. We really try to make it about you and your school and to try to make it as seamless of a connection as possible. Like I said before, real-time classes, proven curriculum, and that can be your curriculum or our curriculum. We have different options. And really, we believe in that student success first approach, because really at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. That's what we're all here to do. And we want to make sure that the students are getting everything they can. And it might be online. And like I said before, in the ideal world, you would be bringing those great, you'd be going to Ilan and getting all of his shlichim to come into your community, and you'd be going and getting, finding those in-person teachers. But we know the fact is that, especially for the larger, when you look at things from the larger lens, it's not always possible to do that. So we really want to provide our schools, and like I said, the schools that we're working with this year, we really have a great relationship with all of them. It's something that we really pride ourselves in. We have a very high retention rate amongst our schools. Most of our schools that start with us, they stay with us because they may come in a little skeptical, but they see how it works, and we really develop that partnership. Most of our teachers are based in Israel. Certainly for Ivrit, that's another added bonus. We do try to bring in that culture and that Israel feel. But like I said, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or somewhere in between, we work. People often ask me, like, when do you sleep? And my answer is usually, well, we don't. That's what Shabbat is for. And it's a joke, but it's also true, because we know that your schedules might be different, but that's what we're here to help you, and that's what we're here to do. So if you have any questions, if you're looking to discuss options either for this year, believe it or not, we're still getting requests for the current year. I just met with a school today where a teacher, not for Ivrit, but a different subject, a teacher left for whatever reason in the middle of the year. We're here to help with those issues. And, certainly for next year, we're certainly happy to talk with you. And if there's anything we can do to help you in your efforts for staffing, specifically here for Ivrit, but also for other subjects as well, we're certainly happy to talk. If you go to our website, www.edutogether.org, there are a couple of links. You can schedule an online Zoom meeting either with myself or one of my colleagues, and we'll be happy to talk to you and look at what your needs are and figure out the best plan for you. So I want to thank Andrew and Rachel and my colleagues Ilan and Alana. And it's great to speak to you today. And if you have any questions, I'm certainly happy to answer either now or later on. Thank you very much.
Aryeh, thank you so much. Tamara, you had a question.
Yeah, I actually have a couple of questions. Number one, by being online and with the kids in school, it means that basically we need to pay for two educators. One that is going to have to be in the classroom because at the end of the day, there needs to be some kind of supervision, right? And one that is going to be teaching. Is that correct?
So it really varies from school to school, and it also varies from class to class. And I'll briefly explain. Certainly for classes that are larger, like when you have it when it's a regular class, that is true. Certainly for middle school, you would definitely want a proctor in there. What most of our schools actually started doing, this is something we've actually worked with our schools on, is that the proctoring of the classes has been added for a lot of schools to their duty roster. So the same way you give teachers recess duty and lunch, they sit in the lunchroom and they do other things, the online classes actually become part of that rotation. And I'll tell you, like the first 2 weeks of the school year are always a little bit crazy, with the technology and the expectations. But once things settle down, most of our proctors they actually love this rotation because they get to sit in the back, do their thing, and they're there. I always joke with schools, but it's not a joke. The one thing we cannot do is chas v'shalom, there's a fire drill. We can't get them out of the building. So you do need to have somebody on site, but at the same time, it certainly does not need to be an Ivrit teacher. It doesn't necessarily need to be the same person every single day. Schools, like I said, they use the duty rotation, or for some of our schools, they put the classes in a room where there's already an adult. For example, a library or a computer lab or a media center or a STEM lab. We have classes going on in all different kinds of places. One of my schools even has the school nurse, when she's not seeing kids, like she's kind of the way their school is set up, there's a classroom like next to the nurse's suite. So she's kind of like popping in and out. So everybody has their own solution, but it's usually one I've never had a school that we haven't been able to work together to figure out a viable solution.
Thank you. And the other question is, what are the reactions of the parents? Because sometimes parents want to have a real life, teacher in the classroom.
So that's a really good question. So I would say that has changed a lot in the last 2 years. And what I mean by that is before COVID, people were much more skeptical about online teachers. And like I said, we've been around for 10 years. So we did it, but it was a little bit more of an explanation, of a presentation. I'll tell you at this point, and over the last year and a half or so, no, we haven't really met any parent resistance. And, again, I say that, pointing out that their kids are not sitting online 8 hours a day. Obviously, if you're using this, I had one principal who, thank goodness, is not here right now, so I can share this story. But he came to me for like 9 online classes, and I said to him, sorry, we're not doing that. Because we didn't want a situation where students were sitting online like 4 or 5 hours a day. It's not healthy for a variety of reasons. But, if it's 1-2 classes you're doing online, I think the parents now are much more comfortable than they were. And if they have a choice between having a qualified, experienced instructor in Israel or having somebody less qualified or less experienced in the United States, I think most of the parents in today's day and age are going to pick the online option. That's been my experience. Yeah.
Any other quick questions for Aryeh?
And don't worry, I will not be the Hebrew teacher, I promise.
Aryeh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew. Take care.
Of course, we're pleased to have these 3 partners who can provide different strategies and in some cases solutions to the fact that there's really a shortage in the field. We are also aware that as the spring arrives and then the summer, many schools find themselves perhaps not hiring the perfect person or finding that one of these solutions is the only way that they're going to solve their Hebrew shortage program. And they end up hiring somebody who brings a lot of excitement, a lot of energy, but perhaps has very, very little preparation for doing the work effectively. And that is why we launched last summer, and what I'd love to share with you, the New Hebrew Teachers Boot Camp. In some ways, this was designed for those individuals that all of us as school leaders sometimes find ourselves selecting, either where we're bringing somebody who's really brand new to this type of work, or we have somebody and they have some experience, but they have very little pedagogic training in second language acquisition. We run this event in the summer. A little bit about the program itself. It's a 3-day intensive. It's a virtual workshop led by our top pedagogues. We really focus on approaches and tools that are going to anchor these individuals in some theory, but the real focus is on best practices. We give them a lot of preparation for those first couple of days and weeks, knowing how essential that will be for their success. Then we know that in most years, we then have the Chagim, which provides a little bit of breathing room. And by that point, most of the school systems are up and running, and you can provide some additional attention. We are making certain that there is some general education pedagogy, there's some second language acquisition pedagogy, and then some Hebrew language learning that many of these individuals need some of the tools from each of these buckets. We're also helping induct these teachers into a community of educators so that they have a cohort who can provide mutual support and sharing. And as I said, this is really designed for those really beginners, those novice Hebrew teachers, or those teachers who are early on in their career but with limited understanding of the proficiency approach. We want each of the participants leaving the boot camp with the following: some fundamental principles of Hebrew teaching. They'll really understand the proficiency approach and how it gets applied in the classroom. We're going to give them some theoretical and some practical teaching tools. They'll walk away with lesson plans for the first 2 to 3 weeks of school. They'll also have spent some time generating ideas for additional lesson plans. They'll be part of this community of Hebrew teachers, and they'll receive a certificate as well. We have found that these are all the types of things that we can accomplish in the 18 intensive hours at the boot camp. You will also have these individuals leaving. You'll know that you will have a new teacher who's more confident and more capable. A couple of the basic details. It runs from Tuesday to Thursday, August 2nd to 4th, 2022, starting at 11:30 a.m., going till 5 p.m. This allows us to work with schools in all 4 time zones in North America, other than Hawaii. It also, we've scheduled it early enough so that we can still get to those teachers who are starting in the schools that begin in early to mid-August. It is $749 per participant. Although if your school is a member of Prizmah, or you're one of the Hebrew at the Center membership schools, you'll receive a 10% or $75 discount. We're going to send to everybody today, along with all of the other material, a link that you can use if you are registering or paying for a participant, or looking to grab a spot. That we do, it's a limited enrollment to the boot camp so that it can be intensive and intimate. You may want to grab a spot without yet knowing who that candidate is going to be. And then we have another link that can be sent that you can forward to a candidate, and they can fill out all of the information without having to worry about the payment function. And that's a little bit about our boot camp. Of course, you'll be hearing more about this as we get closer to August, but would love to take any questions that you might have.
I have a question for Alana. If I
Please.
have a hidden talent, can I refer them to you and then get the coaching?
It's a
No, I'm
great
serious.
question. We get it all the time. So we oftentimes won't work backwards. There have been situations where there was a new assistant teacher who would like to be moved up to a head teacher role. And we've had conversations with schools about potentially supporting that person. But usually we will work with individuals that are already in our system and go that way. So we want to support schools as much as we can, and who knows, maybe in the future that's possible, but for right now, that's just not how we work.
Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions for any of the presentations or presenters? So before we close out, a reminder, we'll be sharing with everyone's contact information. We'll share appropriate links. We'll also share a link to this recording. You may want to revisit one of the sections, or there may be someone in your school who you would like to share information about one of these different offerings. And this way you don't have to have memorized everything. I certainly want to thank everyone. I want to thank our partners, and I'd love to turn it over to our key partner, Rachel Drack at Prizmah, to bring us home.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everyone, so much for coming and for your dedication, to each of you school leaders, to Ilan from Marim Shlichim, Alana from Talent Ed, Aryeh. So fun to be back with everybody from Edu Together, sorry. I want to mention also that there's so much creativity going in to address our challenge. And if you have a solution or an approach that you're working on, maybe you're working with parents, maybe you're getting a whole Hebrew push with your pulpit rabbis in the community, maybe you're pushing Hebrew language in other ways, please share with everyone, because there's so much we love to do to support each other. And if you have not yet joined the free Reshet online discussion forum for Judaic heads, which includes Hebrew, please do at the Prizmah website. And I just want to thank you all for the work that you do. We are so inspired by you. Thank you, and happy and meaningful Purim. May we all hear words of peace and calm throughout the land.
Toda rabba, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Toda rabba.
Thank you.